Namaskar, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Science Heroes. Best advice you ever got from your mentor.
It was from my PhD mentor. It's a marathon, not a sprint, one step at a time.
Chia or coffee?
Tea every day and twice on weekends.
Okay, I see you sharing beautiful picture of your research on Instagram and Twitter, now called as X. So I have picked a few interesting one. Can we scroll through these?
We planned our research and everything was set, and somebody went to the field and planted tomatoes. I think a day before we planned our research. So yeah, this was us going into the field and picking out all the tomatoes and
Did it not invite a sign die? So today, the social media has become an important tool for communication. How do you see its role in bridging the information gap between academia and the general public? What attracted you to agriculture as field of study?
I was fascinated by agriculture, but I didn't know that agriculture was a subject that you can study.
Many people may not know the difference between biochar and carbon nanomaterials. Could you clarify this distinction and how each one is used? This question might be interesting to our seniors, juniors, or friends from Paklihawa campus.
We have quite a political from entrance through checking into the campus. I think the environment definitely makes you question.
We also had this slogan back then, like if we survived in Paklihawa, we can survive anywhere in the world in future. And also you have the podcast, right, about the cricket. You can mention about that if you would like to. You have had the opportunity to live and work in different countries, right, including Nepal, Japan, Burkina Faso, and the US. So how has this multicultural experience shaped your viewpoint on research and collaboration? Namaskar, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Science Heroes, the series that brings you inspiring story from brilliant minds in the world of science. I'm your host Dibya, and today we have very special guest with us, Dr. Jaya Nepal, who is currently working as postdoctoral researcher at Vegetable Crop Science Lab at Penn State University, US. Dr. J is originally from Nepal and has an interesting academic journey, having completed his master's degree from University of Tokyo and Ph.D. from University of Florida, and also a prior postdoc from Cornell University. Dr. J, it's truly a pleasure to have you join us today. How have you been?
Thanks for having me, Dibya. It's been a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. I mean, you have a pretty interesting journey in yourself, so it's exciting to see you grow from a distance. But yeah, to be able to interact with you today is a pleasure. To your viewers, like you introduced, my name is Jay, and currently I'm at State College, Pennsylvania. We did our undergrad together in Pakliha campus. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that later on. I did my master's from University of Tokyo in international agricultural development studies. Then moved to US in 2020, I believe, uh, right before the pandemic, to do a PhD in soil sciences. And right now, yeah, I'm doing postdocs in different labs, trying to set up a career in soil science, I guess. So
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for accepting this invitation and being here today. And yeah, you are a source of inspiration to many, including me, because yeah, to our viewers, we did our undergrad in the same university, that is IAS Pakli Hawa campus, and he was our senior. And so yeah, what attracted you to agriculture as field of study, and were there any role models or person who inspire you in this journey?
yeah, I will be very honest with you, Dibya. I think even until I did my high school back in my hometown, Dang, I was fascinated by agriculture, but I didn't know that agriculture was a subject that you can study as a major, especially in Nepal. So when I finished my plus two, 10 plus two, which is diploma level back in Nepal, then I moved to Chitwan to do some cash course for different fields, medical, engineering. I didn't really know what to pursue at that time. Uh, and then when I went to Chitwan, I discovered that you can study agriculture there, and I got familiar with some people there who pursued me to at least give it a try. And agriculture is pretty significant back home in Nepal. Farming is still the main way of living back home. So at some point, I thought that this could be an opportunity to learn something meaningful for the context that we have back home. So one thing led to another. I would not say that I had a role model, but I would say my big father, my Tulubua, who did a lot of agriculture. My immediate family, my father and mother, had kind of shifted from agriculture to more office-based jobs. So they did a bit and pieces of ag, but I would say that my Tulubua, who did most of the agriculture, and yeah, going with him in the field when we were small, I think that memories still remain with me.
Wow, that's exciting. And this question might be interesting to our seniors, juniors, or friends from Paklihawa campus. So, yeah, do you have any good memories from Paklihawa or any bad ones?
Oh, plenty of good memories, Dibya. I think, like I said, I didn't know what I was going into, so we can start with a little bit of bad, I guess, in the beginning. As you know pretty well, and many viewers from Nepal would know that we we have quite a political, I don't know, from entrance through checking into the campus. I think the environment definitely makes you question that should I really pursue this. So I guess stone at the first. It was not a really fun beginning, but I think eventually, now that I look back, it does help us to grow some character, learn some skills. It could be meeting different people, public skills, and all that. So in hindsight, all good, but definitely in the beginning, it was kind of like it made me question, like I guess it does to many people. But after that, I think if you take out a few period of peak period of receiving, I guess there's been a lot of good memories. I think living in a hostel, away from home, meeting with different people from different background, playing different sports whenever we got chance. Between the few times we actually had some lectures, uh, different tours, I guess, were the highlights that jump out. I think I went to pretty much all the tours, Western, Eastern, Khasa, India. So yeah, getting to different parts of Nepal. I think even different people studying in other fields like engineering, they don't get to go to different places all over Nepal. So that was definitely a highlight. And yeah, I think it the degree did put us in a good place. I think to apply for different positions abroad. So all in all, plenty of good memories and a little bit of interesting memories, I'd say.
Right. We also had this slogan back then, like if we survived in Paklihawa, we can survive anywhere in the world in future. So
True,
yeah,
true, true.
yeah,
The weather was uh, not fun at times.
yeah, right. Looking back at our education system, it could be anything from school to BSc agriculture. What do you think the system we have helped you, and what are something you wish were different?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think even though it's not the most up to date system, I'm talking about the undergrad, we did learn quite a breadth of subjects in our undergrad. I think that is quite helpful. For example, if I look at people here who do major in, I don't know, environmental science or different majors here, they don't study like all the subjects that we do. So for example, we studied a bit of economics, sociology, pathology, entomology, soil science, you name it, and in the field of agriculture, and we studied. I think that in a way it was helpful. It is helpful because when I'm going to different lectures, somehow I do have some recollection of studying these things, even though I will not understand everything, of course. But yeah, in terms of needing to improve, uh, again, updating our course materials. I remember we studied the same material that was probably being studied by people who were there, I don't know, 20 years, definitely more than that. So uh, I think with the new teachers, new young teachers, it might have changed now. But I think, yeah, technology of teaching we studied mostly from the photocopies that we used to find uh, sometimes right before our exams. So that is something that needs to change. I think newer teachers, I'm sure, would have at least the slides that they will give the handout. I believe now, in terms of practical skills, the transferable skills, knowledge of statistics, and other things were lacking at our time. I think these days I see more and more younger people having some idea, although it makes me wonder when I see people with, I don't know, 10 publications during their undergrad these days, uh, which I don't know is a good thing. It's probably not a good thing. So if that's the trend that is developing, I think that needs to change. Uh, yeah, but there are different things that need to change, Dibya.
Yeah, I was also surprised with that. Like these days, our juniors have so many publications. Yeah.
Yeah, and professors here ask, like, look at this CB. He applied to our
Yeah.
lab. He looks a really good student. He has already 12 publications. I was like, 12, and he only did undergrad. So yeah,
Yeah. We barely had one when we did our undergrad.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, we again, I try to help people by saying that in our last semester we usually have project that is a group project, and sometimes that can lead to multiple publications because you're involved in different groups. But even then, to justify 12 sometimes is not easy.
Yeah. After completing your studies in Nepal, you moved to Japan for your master's degree in the University of Tokyo. So could you share us about your experience there and what was it like studying in Japan?
Yeah, I think at that time I didn't know that there was a Japanese scholarship that you could apply to. So I was just teaching. I think I teach for about 1 year after my undergrad in Hitoda. So at that time, I learned from somebody. It could have been somebody sharing a post or something, and it was just like, let's try, and somehow that worked out nicely for me. So yeah, I think I applied to that scholarship, and then I got it, and then I applied to this program in University of Tokyo. So it was a really interesting program. It was almost like a broad umbrella for any people coming from different parts of the world. It was kind of like the only English degree in agriculture that had a bit of everything. So that was fun. The most fun part of that was it required you to have some kind of international component in terms of research, or it could be a project or something. So that was pretty exciting for me. Uh, so yeah, it was a good experience at that time.
So, if I remember correctly, you also did your MS research in West Africa, Burkina Faso. So, what was it like? Can you share us your that experience?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, we needed to have some kind of international component in our final project or research. So yeah, I was a major part of my field study was in Burkina Faso, which is a country in West Africa between, I think, Niger and Ivory Coast. So it was a long trip there. I stayed there for about 6 months. My project was looking at different phosphorus fertilizers and comparing their efficacy for different regions of West Africa. So I did field study, and then I used AppSim, which is a crop model, to simulate the effectiveness for different regions across West Africa. So yeah, it was challenging at that time. I had to learn a lot of things, and especially French, because French was the main communication language there. So to learn basic French was not easy. But yeah, I think I had to do a lot of things from the scratch, talk to people. Uh, yeah, it was interesting experience, but certainly something that helped me learn a lot about research in Africa, and yeah, the culture of Africa, different foods of Africa, and yeah, met some interesting people. Yeah, all in all, it was a really nice experience. Now that I look back.
Yeah, sounds fun. Following your master's, you also pursued your PhD in soil and water science at the University of Florida. Can you tell us more about the focus of your PhD research and What inspired you to explore this area?
Yeah, like I said before, I think I came to US in 2020, right before the pandemic, and the original idea for me was to continue research in phosphorus. My professor here was working with dolomite phosphate rock fertilizer, which is produced in Florida. But because of the pandemic, that project didn't materialize, and we had to kind of think different way. And but the idea for my PhD project was to utilize the soils in Florida that are extremely sandy and acidic in nature, and try to utilize that to make it grow field crops. So we explored different soil amendments, compost, manure, biochar, nanoparticles, and eventually we kind of narrowed it down to two particles, biochar and carbon nanomaterials. And my PhD was basically comparing these particles and try to find the best agronomic rate of applications and see how and why these particles work or does not work, how it interact with soil and plants. So yeah, that was a fun project.
Oh, so you explored the role of carbon nanomaterials in soil and crop production. So could you explain us what these materials are and how they are made and why they are important in agricultural research?
Yeah, I can start with nanoparticles or nanomaterials. I think basically a nanomaterial is any particle when the particle size reduces to a billionth of meter, 10 to the power minus 9, which is a nanometer scale. Then we call it a nanoparticle. So there are natural nanoparticles. For example, if you look at the soil, some of the clay particles in the soil are in the nanoscale. So essentially, we were looking at the carbon that was derived from the plant residues, and it was processed to have really fine carbon particles. So the idea for making it fine was because we have extremely fine textured sandy soils. So we wanted something that sticks with uh, this kind of soil. So yeah, carbon nanomaterials. We work with different nanomaterial that can be formed from different ways. But yeah, eventually we work with an amorphous water dispersible carbon nanoparticles, which are essentially carbon in the form of nanoparticles.
Many people may not know the difference between biochar and carbon nanomaterials. Could you clarify this distinction and how each one is used?
Yeah, for sure. I think the main distinction between biochar and carbon nanoparticles is the way they are prepared and also the particle size. So, for example, biochar is prepared through pyrolysis, which basically means burning crop residue or any organic residue in the absence of oxygen. So, when you limit the oxygen, you form this charcoal that is known as biochar. And carbon nanomaterial, like I said, can be prepared from different ways, different sources. Anything that contains carbon that you can convert into nanoparticles. So it can be done chemically or physically, different things. The only, I think, the major difference is it doesn't require you to limit the oxygen when you make carbon nanoparticles, and when you reduce the particle size to nanoscale, you can call it carbon nanoparticle. Whereas if it's higher than a nanometer, it is usually called biochar or char. If it's present, so if it's burned in presence of oxygen, it is just called char. If you limit the oxygen, it is called biochar. So that's the difference between biochar, charcoal, and nanoparticle. Yes, it was a brief stint, 1 year and a month, but it was a fun learning experience. I worked with Matt Ryan, who is originally a weed scientist, but a really known researcher in terms of cover crops and managing systems, managing agricultural systems. So, a couple of projects that I got to work with. One of them was a long-term research trial where we're looking at different cropping systems. For example, no-till management, enhanced weed management, organic management, and comparing the soil health and crop yields to the conventional cropping system. So that was really interesting project that I got to work with. I work with an integrated cover crop management project where we were using different cover crops and different termination methods to control weeds as well as disease in soybean and a little bit in corn. That was also fun, and there were some small projects here and there which I got to work with or co-work with different people. So it was short, but it was fun experience.
Ah, I see. So you are currently at Penn State University working at Vegetable Crop Science Lab. What is the current focus of your research?
Yeah, like the lab name suggests, it is a vegetable lab, so we grow a lot of vegetables. For my part, the main project that I will be leading is going to be using different organic matter as a source to conduct anaerobic soil disinfestation. So basically, we're trying to control disease and pest in organic systems using a biological fumigation method. So traditionally, people use in those high tunnels or even in the field different fumigants to control disease and weeds. But we're trying to kind of develop a method that we can do organically so that it can be certified organically and also works in organic farms. So we are using different cover crops as source of carbon or different byproducts of agriculture and other different things to induce anaerobic conditions in the soil, let the soil regenerate for a few weeks, typically 3 to 4 weeks, and I'll be looking at how it affects soil health, disease control, weed management, and soil fertility. So it's going to be soil focused, but looking at horticultural crops like vegetables.
So you have worked in different institutions and also different areas of research, right? So how do you see your work helping farmers?
Yeah, people can call me unstable because I keep changing places, but somehow that's how I've been lucky, I guess, to work in different labs. Every lab you go, there's a different lab culture that you get to learn and adapt to, and it's always a fun learning experience meeting different people. Coming back to your question, I think the whole idea of us doing research is for it to be applicable to farmers. So when I talked about my PhD project, uh, even though I couldn't start the on-farm trial, but I think the year I left, a postdoc in our lab started conducting experiment in the field of the farmers, and from the report I got, I think farmers were pretty excited with the carbon nanoparticles in particular, and they were seeing quite a significant increase in yield. So, in terms of corn, about 20 to 30 kilogram per hectare increase in yield. So, it is slowly being translated into farmers' field, and it got quite a coverage from farmers and news media, which was exciting to see. So, yeah, I think it does take some time, and we cannot say that all the technologies that we try to work on eventually gets transferred to the farmers. But I think the idea is to help the farmers eventually, and when you interact with farmers and try to help solve their problems, if you interact with farmers and form research ideas with farmers, I have realized that it is more likely to get adopted by farmers than just conducting research without working with the farmers.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you like most about research, and is there something you don't like?
Yeah, I like almost everything about research. I think, especially in my context, I've loved moving around and getting to know different people, especially working and knowing different peoples who are sometimes pioneers in the field. So I remember when I did my undergrad research back home, we worked with biochar also there, and I remember citing a lot of papers from Dr. Johannes Lehmann at that time. I think at least we must have cited him 5 or 6 times, and when I moved to Cornell during my postdoc, I met him, and I got to interact with him, and I shared what we did in our undergrad, and he was really interested in that project. So that was quite exciting. So getting to know people, meeting different people, and yeah, feeling that you're contributing and your work is being seen by people is quite exciting. Something I don't like, uh, I would say, I'm still a bit of a classical researcher. I would say I like to go in the field, do something in the lab. I have to do something. So sometimes sitting in the computer all the time, doing the data work and writing, that is the sheer repetitiveness of that is can be frustrating at times here, especially here, because here we have long winters, and in the winter not much is happening in the field. So it's usually seen as a time to write and analyze the data and everything. So yeah, it can be a bit boring sometimes, but I guess all part and parcel of doing science.
Okay, I see you sharing beautiful picture of your research on Instagram and Twitter, now called as X. So I have picked a few interesting one. Can we scroll through these and you can elaborate what you were doing and yeah, or
Yeah,
what that
go
thing
for it.
was? Can I share the pictures?
Oh, this one? Where did you find this? I think, yeah, this was really our first step into research. Uh, so this was called a UPA group, and yeah, we were basically fighting for a piece of land to do research, and yeah, at that time, this was the closest land where we wanted to do research, and we were talking with our campus chief that our land should be prioritized for research and not just giving it to somebody to farm. So we planned our research and everything was set, and somebody went to the field and planted tomatoes. I think a day before we planned our research. So yeah, this was us going into the field and picking out all the tomatoes, and kind of like, yeah, going into the campus chief office with its saying that we want our field for research, and it was really interesting. So we had to fight for the land to get our research going. So
Did it not invite a sign die?
no, luckily, I think campus chief agreed that what we were doing was right, and even though he didn't like how we did it, but I think eventually he agreed that the research should be prioritized, and yeah, we got our way in the end.
That's a win. Okay. So what about this one?
Oh yeah, this was from the field days in Burkina Faso, Africa. Yeah, we had to do a lot of things from the scratch, and this was me sampling the soil, and it was really hard. I think it hadn't rained for about 6 months there. It was really dry, and I was given the task to soil sample, and I think I took about, I don't know, 12 samples, and I was drained because it was so hard. I think to take each sample, it took me about, I don't know, 30 minutes or something. So yeah, it was challenging, but yeah, looking back, fun memories from Africa.
And this one?
Oh, these two. Yeah, this is from my PhD work with nanoparticles. I think one of them is corn and one of them is beet. So uh, we are applying the carbon nanoparticles there in our in our cutting edge research protocol. So yeah, so the fun of doing science, I guess. So the picture looks really nice, but we had to spend a lot of time spreading that across our fields through all our treatments. So really nice memory. I think this picture got featured in different news article as well. So I guess it brings good memories, and it gave us good publicity at that time.
Right. Pictures are the windows to many beautiful memories. And also, yeah, they could be some source of inspiration to many people following you out there. Right? So yeah, thank you for sharing the stories behind those pictures.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was expecting some weird ones, so thank you for selecting the good ones.
Yeah, because this is science heroes. We'll have the random ones later, maybe in future. Okay. You have had the opportunity to live and work in different countries, right? Including Nepal, Japan, Burkina Faso, and the US. So, how has this multicultural experience shaped your viewpoint on research and collaboration?
Yeah, I think the key learning. I think I mentioned again. It was a great experience knowing different people, different cultures, and everything. But it is good to know in a way that eventually, if you try to work for the farmers, you interact with the farmers. That is something I've enjoyed the most. I think when you talk with farmers, the depth of knowledge that you get, the experience that they share, and the true value of your work that they see, is really kind of like it motivates you, and that hasn't changed. I think when I work in Africa, a lot of people were interested in what we're doing, and they were visiting our field and wanting to know more from us. And yeah, that was really inspiring to meet with people and getting that affirmation from different people. And even here, seeing that your work is being seen, farmers encouraging you to do more work, and continue the work. I think, yeah, that has been that is something that hasn't changed, I would say, between different countries, and it gives me inspiration, motivation to continue to work in the field.
So, if you had the opportunity to design your own dream research project, in which country would you like to work on and what would your focus be?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I guess I haven't thought a lot about this, but again, speaking from now, in my current state of mind and where I am, uh, in a way, I'm kind of also looking for some kind of stability for a few years now. So I would say that I would like to work on a project where we can work with farmers, helping them to utilize the byproducts of their farming. It could be agricultural farming or animal farming, and to use those materials in a meaningful way, as soil amendment, especially in this region. We have different kinds of soil that are not really suitable for agriculture. So, getting to use those products and making those soil suitable for agriculture would be something exciting for me to work on.
Okay, all the best with your dream project. So yeah, you have had such a busy and dynamic academic journey, right? So outside of your research, what hobbies or activities bring balance and joy to your life?
I like sports. I'm also a sports person. I used to play a lot of sports when I was a bit more younger. I don't get to play as much as I get busy, but whenever I get chance to play any sports, cricket, football, tennis, whatever, I enjoy that. If I don't get to play, I watch a lot of sports also, so that's fun. I like going outdoors, hiking, camping, uh, just strolling around with people, meeting different people. So, yeah, try to maintain some kind of balance whenever I can.
And also, you have the podcast, right, about the cricket. You can mention about that if you would like to.
Yeah, yeah, we try to do some podcasts, but we need to come back with a different season again, because that has been stalling for a while now.
So today, the social media has become an important tool for communication. How do you see its role in bridging the information gap between academia and the general public?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it is, in a way, a double-edged sword. There's a lot of information, but there's also a lot of misinformation in social media. So I am a big advocate of social media. I like sharing news, sharing research. I think if it doesn't do anything, it helps motivate people to do science. It's certainly helpful in that way. But I think, yeah, ever since the pandemic happened, uh, it became really evident to me that for it is really important for us people who are doing the research to share our research, and not just through the papers, because papers can be is not as well seen. For example, a newsletter in a news magazine. It's sometimes seen by I don't know, 30,000 people, 50,000 people, compared to a research paper, which is truly uh, only seen by people who work in the field of research for the most of the time. So yeah, sharing those information through different platforms, YouTube, having those videos out through web pages, newsletters, uh, and different other mediums, LinkedIn, Twitter. I think in general, whatever, how many means you can share your work, I think is good because it is more likely to get to more people.
That's right. So, reflecting on your journey, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Uh, I think, yeah, I wished I would have picked up more of those transferable skills that I was talking about. Again, learning those data analyzing skills early would have been really helpful right now because I didn't have a background in coding, so I was always like trying to avoid those kind of research or analyzing skills. So yeah, I would definitely encourage my younger self and anybody who is listening to this podcast to get familiar with data analyzing skills, other digital skills like GIS or remote sensing, uh, programming, different programming languages. The more, the better. So yeah, I think having those transferable skills that you can take from one lab to another, one place to another, I think that really puts you in good shape uh, wherever you go in the future. So yeah, that is something I'm trying to catch up now, but it's not as easy uh, now. So yeah, I'll definitely advise people to try to get into that as much as they can.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to learn those skills now. Yeah. Okay, now let's make it a little bit fun with our rapid fire round. So, are you ready?
Yeah, throw it at me. Ready?
One word that describe your research journey so far.
One word: adventurous.
Chia or coffee?
Tea every day and twice on weekends.
Best advice you ever got from your mentor?
It was from my PhD mentor. It's a marathon, not a sprint. One step at a time.
Morning genius or night owl?
Definitely a night owl.
Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn?
Instagram.
Which one do you enjoy for science communication?
For science, Twitter.
Your comfort food after a long research day?
A soup or noodles.
Mountains, forests, or beaches?
Mountains.
If you had to explain your PhD research to a 6-year-old, how would you do it in one sentence?
6 year old. My PhD work was working with different materials that could make the soils that are not fertile cultivable.
That's a nice one. So, if you could teleport to any soil in the world, would you choose the fertile Tarai or the dry soil of Mustang?
Dry soils of Mustang would be more fun.
Complete this sentence. Science to me is.
Source of living.
Okay, so before we conclude this, is there any message you would like to share with our viewers?
I guess that I already gave advice. I think if you're working or aspiring to be in the field of science, I think learning to be curious is really important. Having Maintaining some kind of network, talking to people, getting insights from them is really useful. It is quite really a small world, so you get to interact with different people. So yeah, having that attitude to learn, be curious, and focus on the process, not the results. I would say so. Yeah, uh, yeah. Keep doing science; it's fun.
Beautifully said, Dr. Nepal. Thank you once again for being with us today and sharing your incredible story. If you'd like to know more about Dr. Nepal's research or follow his journey, I'll provide the links to his social in the descriptions. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to my channel for more inspiring stories from brilliant minds in the world of science. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the wonders of science. Dhanyabad. Namaskar.